All right, we're live now. That's pretty good. Okay, so welcome everyone for the Java user groups tours around the United States and the Java EE8 initiative done by SouJava with help of lots of people. And thanks very much everyone for joining us here. And here today, the Java EE8 initiative done by SouJava with help of lots of people. And thanks very much. Yes, I think you need everyone for joining us here. And here today, the Java EE8 initiative done by SouJava with help of lots of people. Oh shoot! Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. All right, okay, guys, we're just going crazy here because I did something wrong. Oh shoot! I'm sorry about that. All right, right here. Okay. All right.
Wow.
How about that, right? You know, so we had the player playing around the background. Okay. So we are back here now. Okay, let's restart then. Let's reset this. All right. So welcome everyone for the Java user group meeting. I mean, not the Java user group meeting, the Java user groups tour around the United States. We are here with we're starting today, me and Otavio Santana, and you're gonna have to come a little bit over here, Otavio, yes. So me and Otavio Santana, we are starting today a tour around the United States where we're gonna visit 10 different cities in 6 states and you know, several Java user groups. And we're gonna do lots of different interviews. And at the same time, we're also here for the Java EE8 initiative, where we're interviewing important people from the Java EE ecosystem, right? So I'm just saying hello to Elder that's watching us from Brazil. Hi, Elder.
Hi, Bruno. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing? So hi, Otavio.
Hello, Bruno. Hello, everyone from Brazil.
And with us here today, we have an amazing guy, right? So Ivar Grimstad is, oh, there's even clapping here.
Yes,
cool.
Yes.
So Ivar is a Java champion. He is a JCP Spec lead. He's part of the JCP executive committee. You know, he's a Java developer, an open source developer. He's a Spec lead. Did I say Spec lead right?
Yeah,
yes, I said a Spec lead. Right.
You didn't say you're jug leader.
Oh, you see, you're jug leader also. Jug leader. So I mean, he has a Java tattoo in his arm. I mean, this is the Java guy, right? Yes. All right. So, so thanks, Ivar. Thanks a lot for being here with us.
Thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here to talk with. Is it the largest Java user group in the world?
It's one of the largest.
One of the largest.
Yes.
So this is really cool to be here.
Yeah, it's very cool. And we're talking to people from all over the world. That's the good thing about doing English now. It's like, you know. So
yeah, Portuguese is a little bit rusty, so I think we better stick to
let's stick to English. Yes, okay. Our Portuguese is a little rusty right now because you know after days of JCP meetings, right? Okay, so Ivar, you're here. We are here in Austin, right? That's the beautiful city of Austin in the back here. We're here in Austin, Texas, and for the JCP face-to-face meeting, and we had everyone from the JCP here in the last couple of days discussing the future of Java. Let me just kind of dive right directly into, you know, how is Java EE8 coming along, and you know, what is the state of it?
I think finally now we're seeing Java 8 moving forward again, because we had this long delay the last year, but now the specifications, all the important specifications that are part of Java EE are in some kind of final draft or closing in to be that. So I think they're all on track, and the ones I follow are really doing some great work. We've seen some presentations of them today and yesterday here, and on the mailing list there's a lot of activity, and it's positive like atmosphere around Java EE on conferences and everywhere. So yeah, I think it's moving along.
That's very good. So from the whole discussion that we had, you know, last year about the future of Java EE, just all this is fast, right? You know, things are moving fast again, and it's almost time for it to be released, right?
Yeah, the release date is I can't remember exactly the date, but but it's sometimes in July.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely there will be a lot of talks about Java EE8 on Java 1 this year. Last year we didn't have very much Java EE talks because of what was happening, and yeah, it looks good. Java EE8 is coming, and that is the really good thing. It's moving forward.
Okay, so you know, can you just kind of give us some? We're gonna talk specifically about your JSR in a minute, but can you give like just kind of some of the highlights of the what is on Java EE8 that you like most? What are the things that you can expect that you see?
Yeah. So those who saw the Java 1 keynote last year saw that Oracle presented a proposed roadmap where they had some interesting stuff. There were updates to most of the specifications, as well as they launched a couple of new JSRs, health checks and configuration, at least was one of them, two of them. These are not coming, and that's kind of disappointing. The good thing is that there are other initiatives that are exploring these things, so it will most definitely be a part of the next release.
Okay.
Of the stuff that is delivered or is coming in Java EE8, I think CDI 2.0, that's a cool addition. They add more async support, for example. JXRS are giving us a reactive client API and also server-side event. So I think it looks good. I'm usually working with REST APIs and that kind of thing. So these are in my opinion, or for me, the most important ones. JSF 2.3 have some interesting stuff coming if you're doing web development. Yeah.
So I mean, there's lots of things that we're gonna go directly into what developers need, right? So you know, so reactive and REST APIs and Java Server Face. I mean, so those are the things that developers are actually using interactive with.
Yeah, there is also one interesting thing more happening. I don't know if they'll make it, but I see they started talking about it on Twitter and on the mailing list, and that is JPA is going to have an update, and they are talking about the possibility of streaming results from the database. So that's interesting that you can actually use the streaming API to go over your results from the database.
Okay, pretty cool. So well, but even that late in the game, there's still a chance to one more thing to be added.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So the whole thing about the JCP being this slow process, that's you know, that's not true.
Yeah. Well, it has been going for a long time. So it's a kind of we're on the last couple of miles now. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Pretty cool. So you're doing a very important JSR, right? I don't remember the number.
No, yeah. Well, important, in my opinion, yes. In the Oracle's opinion about Java EE, it wasn't important enough to be included in Java EE8. So the JSR we're talking about is 371, right? More commonly known as MVC 1.0. We have a couple of guys from SouJava is helping out with this. So cool. And then we're listening at contributors and we get inputs on the mail list. And so it's really good. Since we're not part of EE8, we're not tied to the schedule of EE8. Since the transfer of the intellectual property from Oracle to the community took a little more time than expected, or as we naively expected, because you know Oracle Legal was involved in it. It takes time to write these documents, and it's thoroughly done, but it's finalized. And what we're doing now is we set up the infrastructure on GitHub, on Google Groups, and we have a new web page that is being worked on. The last thing we are discussing this week is actually how we're going to license it. And it's going to be open source, all of it. And we're considering two licenses, and that is Apache 2 and the BSD 3 clause. And it's leaning towards Apache 2 license. So we're going to open source everything, even the TCK.
Okay. So that's pretty good. So that's an interesting thing, because you know, the whole thing about the JCP, and one of the discussions was what you can do once a spec lead is not interested in moving things forward, but you actually got Oracle to give the IP from what they're doing before to you guys, and you're gonna release all of these as open source. So that's very, very positive, right?
Yes, that's incredibly cool. And then I think it was the community pressure during Java 1 that was kind of the thing that weighed over to Oracle do this, because they are planning to drop it completely. But we started tweeting. I started talking with the spec leads of Java EE and other people at Oracle that, hey, we're almost done. We can do this. Just give it to us and we'll finalize it. And they like the idea, and so all credit to Oracle for doing this. I mean, they're actually giving away a lot of work they've done. It's pretty decent spec over there. So
cool.
So it's cool for us.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice when things, you know, I do understand that's the community making pressure to get companies to do the right thing. It's very important, right?
Yeah.
And I understand where companies, you know, the thing also people say like, oh, because we had to pressure. But the thing is, if there's no way to pressure, then you couldn't pressure, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that we have the JCP, that all of these is very public, very transparent, helps us make the pressure in the right ways, right?
Yeah, and the JCP also has kind of anticipated that this is going to happen. I don't think they anticipated that Oracle was going to give anything away to the community or anything, but they have a process for actually transferring a JSR from one spec lead to another.
That's
so
cool.
The process is there, and so it's just to do it.
Nice, very nice. So Elder, do you have any questions?
Yeah, actually I have. For developers that wanna migrate from this Java EE 7 to 8, will they have some hard times or about tooling or even for coding? What is like the experience from migration?
Okay, so I think that migrating from EE7 to EE8 is going to be very smooth. I mean, the issue is probably when is the reference implementation coming. So you can start doing, if you're on WebLogic, for example, you probably have to wait a while. If you're on Glassfish, you will have it from day one. The other ones will come somewhere in between there. So it more or less depends on which application server you are. Regarding tooling, I would point you to NetBeans, because NetBeans already have tooling support for Java EE8. So you can today download it and use NetBeans for Java EE8 development. And especially one tool developed by Gaurav Gupta from India. He's now working for Payara, but he has created a great plugin for NetBeans called Jetty, where you can generate almost every code you need for Java EE development. So if you want to learn Java EE8, that's the way to go.
That's pretty cool. All right. So it's very nice that we see this whole, the whole ecosystem working, right? So the JCP is working, or we've got you know, the tooling is there, and everything's kind of ready to go. And can you actually try things out right now, or you need to wait until the release?
Oh no, you can try it out right now. Glassfish 5 is you can grab a nightly build from Glassfish, and whatever they have gotten to get in there, you can use it. Some of the specification you can use with the earlier versions. For example, the MVC specification I'm on, even though it's not EE8, it runs on the EE7. So you can use a nightly build of Glassfish 4, which is EE7, and just add the runtime dependency for our reference.
Oh, cool. All right. So your API, your JSR will work with Java EE7.
Yes. We will probably have to rely on EE8 later on, because we are requesting some features in JaxOS, which we hope that we'll be able to deliver, and then we can base it on EE8. Okay. Otherwise, we have to figure out something around that.
Okay. All right. How about you, Tom? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned about open source projects, right? Do you have any ideas if you would like to move to one today, such as Apache or Migrating Foundation?
That's a very good question, and yes, I am considering. Right now, I'm actually bringing in another spec lead, so we can take the burden off me a little bit. So Christian Kaltebot. He's a long-time member of the expert group. A final request to the PMO at JCP to add him as spec lead. And we have decided to just not bother about the IP stuff right now. Okay. So it will still be transferred from Oracle to me, and then we will, on a later stage, consider donating it to either Apache or Eclipse.
Okay,
so
so
it's better to have and that's for the, especially for the preferences. The specification will be JCP.
right. So actually, that's even more interesting. So actually, what's going on right now is that Oracle is transferring the IP from them to you personally. Right?
Yes.
And so I mean, so yesterday we had this discussion. I mean, I think it was today, right? On Reddit about who is the guy? This guy is in the middle of all those companies in the JCPC. That's who he is, right? Ivar is like as probably the only person that got like IP donated for Oracle directly.
Yeah. it is pretty cool. But the explanation behind it is that for Oracle legally, it's actually easier for them to transfer to a individual than to a company. Probably because then they would have to agree with the legal department.
Right.
And my legal department is pretty small, so it's probably easier.
Okay. All right. And Elder, how about you?
Yeah, what developers should expect in terms of career opportunities with this new version?
Okay, so what Java E8 will mean for Java developers' career?
Yeah.
I think it will make it longer because without E8, E would be more or less dead.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So and E8 adds some stuff that will make it more suitable for microservices, and since that's a trend in the market today to go for microservices, E8 will enable that even more. So yeah, I wouldn't be afraid of educating myself in Java.
Okay, cool. Well, before the next question, let me just tell you that watching us, if you're watching us, there's a chat there on the side, so you can ask questions also, and we're gonna try to answer your questions. The whole idea here is to make this very interactive, so you can ask things, and we're gonna try to answer here. So Ivar, so Java 8 will be important for the developer career for the Java server side development. But how about this whole discussion around microservices, right? So the last couple of years, especially last year, there has been a lot of discussion on microservices, a lot of different ideas about how to do microservices. And is this any way included in Java 8 right now, or that's for Java 9? How that conversation is going?
Yeah. So the thought behind Java 8 was to have initial microservice support. So
right.
I think it's more of a preparation release for making Java 9 or whatever that release will be called, to be more microservice friendly.
Okay.
Right now, it depends on your actual use case, but for a organization that is today in some kind of EE environment, on EE6 or 7, and you want to go microservices out of it, you are probably not gonna need the extreme scalability that a serverless architecture based on Amazon Lambdas or whatever will give you, because you're not used to it, and you probably won't need to take that big step. What your kind of path forward is probably just to break your big application into smaller services and run them independently. And the kind of industry standard way of doing it today is writing it as Uber jars, like the Spring Boot approach.
Right.
And projects like Microprofile gives you that support for Java EE. So you can create like small subset of Java EE and packages as Uber jars, if that's the way you want to go.
Okay.
The other way is actually to use Java EE in a Docker container. Right. So rather than typing Java just jar on a command line, you write Docker runs. And you can use all these container management systems around that.
Okay. Well, and since you mentioned Docker, I'm just gonna go on a sidetrack here, a little quick. You know, there has been a lot of discussion around running Java inside Docker and, you know, and memory management and all that. Do you think that we're going the right direction right now? Especially, you know, does Java EE need to do anything special to run inside Docker, or is it just going to run normally?
Yeah, I think it depends on your particular need, the kind of scalability and what kind of requirements you have. I'll go back to what I said. If you're today running in a Java EE container, you're probably not very worried about footprint.
Right.
And so adding Docker to the equation doesn't add very much more than just if you run Docker on your VM rather than running some Java EE application server. So you might as well just add your application server in Docker. I mean, it's probably not very optimal way of doing it if you're going to scale really fast.
Right.
But for typical simple use cases where the alternative would be to run another instance of an application server, then you're probably fine.
Okay, that's good. How about you, Tom? Questions?
Okay, let's see. I have no one yet.
Okay, it's all right. Okay, how about you, Other? Is there anyone asking questions in the chat?
No, not yet in the chat.
Not yet. Okay, so guys, you got. So one of the things that we're trying to do here is trying to make this as much as interactive as possible. That's why we're doing live interviews, because to allow you to ask questions. So lose your fear, ask questions, and that's going to be great.
Okay, I have a classic question about Java EE, because when you mention Java EE, you right now thinking Spring. So what do you think about Spring?
Okay. Usually, I'll digress a little bit from that question and come back to it, because usually when people talk about Java EE, people talk about J2EE, and people talk about the older versions, and people remember what you did to create an enterprise Java bean in '99.
Right.
So
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, a lot of the industry hasn't really caught up with the EE approach, and that's the kind of people who have moved away from EE or J2EE over to Spring. And these guys have never looked back, and they haven't discovered or followed what's actually happened in Java EE space. And that they are now in the microservice world. They are moving from the classic Spring approach over to Spring Boot, which is a natural thing to do.
Natural path.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think Spring Boot is pretty cool. If you're used to the Spring way of doing it, it's a natural way of doing it. Yeah, so that's the kind of the fat jar approach, as opposed to the EE way, which you talk about, the thin war. And especially if you're in some kind of containerized development, as Docker, you should worry about the size of your application. And if you're packaging a Spring Boot application in Docker, for example, you're adding a pretty thick layer on top of it. So if you make a little code change there, you have to swap that entire layer that contains everything from the framework. And that's going to be more expensive operation than if you have to swap just the lines of code that you actually change. And in EE, the layer that contains the application server or the framework, that will already be there because you're just changing your business logic. So that's something to think about.
Right. So in terms of this, how is the whole deployment pipeline today on Java EE? I mean, is because more and more we are working with more agile teams where the whole idea is to deploy smaller and smaller batches at every time. So do you think that's not only Java EE is evolving, but is the pipeline around Java EE? I mean, how fast you can actually put code out? Also improving this last versions?
Yeah, I think, but yes, definitely. The application servers are faster and faster, and they also provide lots of good like client scripting tools to do the deployment for you. So you can some of the servers start up in like less than a second, and depending on the application, you drop into even if you use the auto deployment functionality, just drop the war in there particular directory and just start it up. Depends on your application how fast it starts. But that's been really improved over the past years.
Okay, cool.
Because if you think about it, how long a startup time of WebSphere was like 5 years ago compared to WebSphere Liberty today, which is less than a second. It's kind of
and it's funny that's one of the things that I always kind of surprises me, because in most times when you're talking about the production application server, it doesn't really matter how long it takes for it to start, right? Because the whole idea is that you're only going to direct traffic to it when it's running, right? So if it takes some time, it's more about the development process that you have to restart the server, and the faster it's starting, the better, right? But but that's one. I think that's still something that people consider, how fast application server starts and important.
Yeah. So my tooling pipeline, when I develop EE applications, typically I use NetBeans.
Cool.
And from NetBeans,
I'm also NetBeans.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So and from NetBeans you can they have all the support you need for Java EE applications. So I typically start the application server by just clicking run in NetBeans, and I have it running locally on my computer. And when I do a change, it just multiplies out there.
Right.
So I don't really follow the start the server, deploy, and then test the stuff. I just start it in debug mode, and whenever I do a change, I just get something there.
Right. Okay. That's pretty cool. So you mentioned several times application servers, right? How is the application server landscape right now? I mean, are there several application servers already adopting Java EE 8 or getting ready for Java EE 8, or that's something that we're going to take some time for them to show up?
Yeah, for sure, Glassfish will be first out, since they are the reference implementation. I would guess that Pyara would be there the same day. Pyara is the commercially supported from Glassfish. So they shared the code base, and they'll probably be out there with a faster, less buggy version, probably. So, but and my guess is that the next one out will probably be a wildfire. But I'm just wildly guessing.
Okay.
And also I think that Liberty from WebSphere will probably also be there pretty fast.
Okay.
So
that's pretty cool. So how about the adoption? Well, I'm not sure. Elder, do you have any question there from the chat?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, actually I have one. With Java EE moving to GitHub, do you believe that the community support will be more easier to get involved, to contribute, to maybe for the Java EE 9 we have more participation from the community?
I think it depends on how the particular specifications are run and how they set it up. But GitHub certainly makes it more approachable, because you have all the tooling around it, and it's so easy. Every developer today knows how to send a pull request, and this is the way of contributing to these specifications.
Right.
So earlier it was still available in Java.net, but you kind of had to log in, and the tooling wasn't that good.
Right.
So now we have all the GitHub tooling around.
Right. Okay. So and really, we're talking about two different things here, right? Because one of the things is the specification themselves moving to GitHub, and then the other thing is Glassfish. I mean, the reference implementation moving to GitHub, and also the open source GSR implementation moving to. So your the MVC is Spec, for example, is it run on GitHub right now?
Yes, we've been running on GitHub for a very long time. We actually had a mirror set up more than a year ago, and we did our development there, and we just pushed the changes to Java.net to have it there, because that was required by the Speculation. Today we are actually we followed the migration from Java.net to Java EE on GitHub. So we have a repository on the Java EE organization. So we're still kind of members of the club. But that will be a read on a mirror for us, since our work will be done on the MVC Spec organization, where we collect the specification, the API, the reference implication, and the GCP.
Right. So one of the things, how easy it is for us to participate, for developers in general, to participate on the improvement of Java EE or on MVCs particularly that you're expecting.
Yeah. So we're working on setting up the license right now, and we will probably for the specification document itself and the specification APIs, we probably need to require that you have signed the JSPA.
Mm-hmm.
That,
yes.
in effect, that means you're a part of the expert group.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so that will kind of be restricted to that. That doesn't mean you cannot send a pull request, but you probably will not be able to merge it yourself or get it merged directly.
Right.
You have discussed on the mailing list and have some of the expert group members to actually do this stuff.
Right.
For the RI, we are planning on having some simple CLA, and then that is more or less just to protect ourselves.
Right.
So that kind of we haven't figured out how the wording is going to be, but it's going to be more like, I give you this code and I kind of guarantee that I haven't stolen it.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. So Leonardo Lima is another spec lead from the JCP. He's here on the side, and he's dying to participate in this conversation. I don't know why he doesn't come here to participate, but he keeps messaging us from far away.
Yeah.
But he's saying that moving into the Eclipse Foundation could be a good way to streamline that, right?
Yeah, Eclipse or Apache Foundation will also support that. So,
right. Okay.
Either one.
And yeah, but that's like a longer move. Right?
Yeah,
So, it takes
I think it's going to take some time because the incubation process in both these foundations are pretty long run. So and we don't want that to delay us any further. So we just wanted to.
So I want to come back to something that you said before about you bringing in another co-spec lead right now. And I think that there's different layers of participation on the JCP, and you can just kind of be a associate member. That you can just kind of participate on some things. You can participate on the main list. You can discuss things, but then you're getting more involved with different things. You participate in an expert group, everything. But the biggest and the most complex participation, actually, most of the JSPA documents deals with that. The most complex participation is being a spec lead, right? So can you tell us a little bit about what is to be a spec lead, how much work is involved on this, how does that work?
Yeah, I think it depends on how you run the specification, and I've been a spec lead for practically 1 month.
So it's right here, right?
Yeah. So we haven't right now. It's just been kind of the practical things to set up the mailing list and just get everything up and everything in place.
Mm-hmm.
And Christian, which I'm bringing in as spec lead, we've been discussing this and we've talked about this and we've been helping each other. So it's really good to have somebody to discuss that with, how we're going to do things.
Mm-hmm.
In the specification, in the expert group, I have been involved with the spec leads, or the organization of the spec lead has done most of the work.
Mm-hmm.
That is how they choose to do it.
Right.
So we are hoping for a more participative model, more collaborative.
Right. Yes.
That's what we're discussing today. So we want, and by opening up the TCK, for example, we are inviting everybody to write tests for us. The TCK is practically a test suite.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So and that is quite an amount of work to get a TCK up and running.
Mm-hmm.
I think I haven't really explored it yet, but people say that. So that is probably where we can distribute it more, because we're really aiming for the open source model.
Okay. Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, because a big part of being part of the JCP is creating the TCK test. And one interesting thing Otávio was asking about, an open source project, and one of the best ways for you to actually join an open source project is to do testing and documentation and all those things that a lot of people think that they're second class activities, but really they are like first class things, right? Without documentation, you can't really run the project. Without good testing, you can't really have a quality project. And especially when you're talking about REST implementation of the JCP, where the TCK is a fundamental part of the process. Right? So if you don't have a good TCK, you don't have a specification.
Yeah.
And so that's a good way for people to come and join you because they can write the test. Right?
Yeah.
They can read the document, read the specification, and write a test for it.
And people often ask me, how can I help?
Mhm.
And I say, you can do almost anything. So any help is appreciated. Even just a question on the email list. That is helpful for us because that's something somebody cares about, and we will answer it.
Right.
And other things we need people to do is read the specification and find typos. If you write something wrong there, it's much better than to get a feedback on it. And there is actually one particular item that I really want to have help with, and that is to create a cool logotype for the MVC specification.
Cool.
Because I'm not very creative person, and I would like to have do it in some way, visualizing MVC.
Okay.
And I could try to do it myself, but it would probably be a crappy logo. So
Oh, come on,
anybody artistic.
You can just copy the one that's right in your arm.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but still, I want to have some cool things. So please help us.
Okay, all right. So that's a good way. There's so many interesting things that you can do in an open source project. You know, helping out with the logo would be a great one. Yeah. Okay, cool.
You're guaranteed a name in the specification.
Oh, cool.
As a contributor.
Right. You know, that's excellent. So how about you, Elder? Any questions for Ivar?
Yeah, do you have any resource that you would recommend for people that want to start with Java EE or migrating from 7 to 8, like, I don't know, blogs, books, podcasts, or whatever?
I would go to GitHub and I would check out the Java EE 7 sample. That's an excellent way to start. Another place is Adopt the JSR program. You probably find a lot of Java EE stuff there. But the Java EE 7 samples on GitHub, they're really good.
Okay.
And they are created by the community.
And you can those are you can just load in your IDE and start for some. Okay. David.
No?
No. Okay. All right. Elder.
No, I'm done here.
Time to go, brother.
Okay. All right. Yes, because we're almost out of time here. But I should have a couple of more questions, Ivar. Yes, right. So one of the things, Ivar, we're doing this tour around the U.S. and one of the things that we are looking for is helping developers to improve their careers, right? And you know, in terms of Java EE, I think Elder asked about how important Java EE is for someone's career, but asking the other way around, right? If someone does not have any experience with Java EE, could they actually, if they learn Java EE, could that be a good career move? I mean, are there lots of companies using Java EE today? Is there a strong ecosystem? Can that be something that for a newbie just starting a good career path?
Yeah, in my opinion, yes, and that's why I work with this. So yeah, we need Java EE developers. I mean, the popular thing for young developers to do today is to do some kind of JavaScript.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But there are so many JavaScript developers out there. So yeah, we need the Java EE developers, definitely.
Okay.
And a great way of doing that is to participate in some kind of open source project, or create your own open source project.
Right.
When I interview people, or I get a resume in my hand to say, is this a good guy? The first thing I do is to check, does this guy have or girl have a GitHub account? And then I check, have they done anything? Right. So that's kind of the first criteria for hiring.
Okay. So that's so. I'm just gonna go in that direction that you just, and then I'll go back to my questions. But so when you hire,
I didn't answer.
No, when you hire people, you look for the resume, right? So let me ask you one question: what is the first thing you do when you are in a project? You realize, oh man, I need someone else to help me out here. I need to hire someone. What is the first thing you do? Do you post a job position somewhere, What is the first thing you do?
I think that the first thing, I'm not the one hiring. I'm sometimes doing interviews.
Right. Yeah.
But what the recruiting people in my company do, they ask the other employees, do you know anybody?
Right.
So the contact net, the people you get to know in jug meetings, in open source project on JCP, that's important. That's the first thing the first place you start looking is your contacts. So LinkedIn or GitHub or Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, I like to ask these questions when I see someone that kind of do interviews, things like that, because you know, a lot of developers ask about, you know, what they should put in the resume, you know, how the things, but really, as you guys just saw, the best positions never show up in a website somewhere, right? You know, they're an indication of some other people that know you. So you really should work out on doing things and meeting people and participate in Java user groups. And that's why we're doing this tour. So you guys can come and participate in user groups more and have stronger user groups in your city, because that really is the way that you can work on great projects, right? And you know, and so Ivar, for me it was really amazing that you said you were asking someone else to be like a co-spec lead, right? So spec lead is one of the top position. I'm not sure if position is the right way to say, but like the top thing that you can do in the Java ecosystem, because you know you're really defining the future of the technology, and you're asking someone else to come and join you. So is this person someone that you hired, someone that fell out of the sky, someone that's a big company? So you have to put this guy right there. Who is this guy?
This guy has Christian is his name. He's been in the expert groups in the beginning.
Right.
We were both members in the expert group before I took over. And Christian has been one of the most active members in the expert group. And we've been doing talks together, but it's mostly because of the job he's doing in the expert group.
Right.
So that's why.
So you know, so the way that he grew up in his career and he became a co-spec lead, and that's probably something that you did too in the past, is by participating. Right? So the more you participate, the
definitely. Yeah. And I need to make the precision that the JCP doesn't have the term co-spec lead.
Right.
We are both spec leads on equal terms. So we share the responsibilities and everything. So, but we are co-leading this.
Yes, right. Well, yes.
But usually, one spec lead refers to the other one as a co-spec lead, or you say I'm the co-spec lead, but both are spec leads. Yes.
You notice that it's a co-spec lead because both are spec lead.
Yes.
It's not a sub-spec lead or an alternate spec lead, right? Or a vice spec lead. It's not this.
But in the airplane, you have a pilot and a co-pilot, so it's not like that.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. I see. Okay. All right. I see what you mean. All right. Well, but the co-pilot is also pilot.
Yeah. And if he's sitting in the left seat, he's the pilot, and the other one is the co-pilot.
Right. You see, that's how it works. Yeah. Perfect. So, Elder, do you have any more questions? I have just one more.
No, I'm cool here.
Okay. So Ivar, you know, I mean, you are like a we've been joking here, but you've done lots of things, right? So you've done. You know, you're like one of the very few individuals. It's just you and Werner, the two individuals here, the executive committee at the JCP. You know, you're an open source developer. You also work for a company. I mean, you've been doing lots of things, and you know, you give talks in all events around the world. So you travel around the world giving talks. You're changing the lives of millions of people that are actually using Java EE. So I mean, you're like a guy that we can look up to and say, oh, I want to be that guy, right? Yeah. So my question to you is there anything in your life that you can say on your career that you can say, look, I was, you know, I like just a normal developer working on my things, and then, you know, someday I did this, and that completely changed my life. Did it ever happen to you, or it's just kind of just a natural growing?
It has been a natural growing thing, but I think there are a couple of defining events.
Moments, right?
One of them was then I've been speaking at minor events a lot of times, but one defining thing was when I accepted to talk at Java 1 the first time.
Oh, cool.
So that was really cool. Then suddenly I was somebody you wouldn't know, and that also made it easier to be accepted to other conferences because he's a Java 1 speaker.
Right.
The other really defining event was to join the EG and get more involved in the JCP. I have been a member of the JCP for 10 years, but I joined a expert group only like 3 years ago. So that was kind of stepping up in the EG and in the JCP and taking more responsibility there. That kind of sped up my career enormously.
Cool. All right. So as you can see, you know, when you start sharing, right? That's what Ivar did. You know, he started giving talks and become a JavaOne speaker and started giving talks in more events, and then he starts sharing all his knowledge on the expert group, on open source project. So when you start sharing what you know, that's when a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. So you know, this is a very important secret. If you want to improve your career, follow the path of the great guys like Ivar, right? Okay, any other things that you want to tell us about Java E8 or about your specification that we should, you know, where should we go?
There's probably tons of stuff that we missed, but I think we covered pretty much.
Okay,
So
all right.
It's been a pleasure.
So Elder.
Okay, so thank you, Ivar, for accepting our invitation. Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure for us to receiving us here. Have a nice day here. There.
Okay, so Ivar, thanks a lot. It's been great for us to have you here, and by having you here, I don't only mean about on the interview. You know, having you as part of the Java community and doing all the things that you're doing kind of improves all of us lives. So thanks a lot for all your work.
Thanks so much for having me here. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, all right. And you, if you want to follow us, you know, follow us on Twitter. Also, what's your Twitter?
My Twitter is my name with an underscore, so it's Ivar_Grimstad.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna put on the comments, I mean the description of the video. We're gonna put his tweets and also the links that he talked about, right? So you can take a look at the description below because we're gonna put the links so you can learn more about Java EE and about the MVC JSR, and follow us on Twitter at SouJava or at BRJavaman, and we're gonna be spending this whole week traveling around JavaScript groups here in the US, and we're gonna bring you lots of cool content. Okay, so thanks everyone, thanks for watching, and you know, keep learning Java. That's the way to go. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
All right.